Hi, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Today I'm coming to you because I wanted to talk about some few points. As you know, I have been sharing how I'll be running a really good, actually, launchpad, a type of workshop for anyone that wants to transition into healthcare project management. What I'm going to talk about today is really just a few things about resetting ourselves and what we need to do going forward. So, as you know, many of us, Happy New Year, by the way, 2024. But many of us, with everything going on in the world, we found ourselves really rethinking what exactly that we need to be doing, rethinking our lives, and just wondering generally that how can we make an impact, or what are some ways that actually for our own self that we can change. Okay, life is short, we don't have much time, and the best thing is really to live the lives that we want to live. So, one of the things that I don't know for you, but for me, I know that I've hit reset buttons several times in my lifetime. um, Life sometimes forces you to do that. Other times it's really from our own choosing. But what I do know is that we get to a point where um, internally deep inside we want to change or do something. Just to really share with you, for example, for me last year there was a lot of testing things out in life and also career, seeing what's working, what's not, and then also me wanting to move into some areas. And I did take the courses like I recommend other people. Courses I believe really help us, either courses or coaching, whatever it is that we work with someone who's some steps ahead of us in that area, and those helped me. However, what happens is that, when you reset, sometimes it takes a little bit longer. It could be mental, it could be physical, but sometimes it takes a little bit longer than we would like. Or sometimes we are just actually taking the time. That's the time that's needed, in other words, to build into the new person that we need to be. So, where I'm going with this is that if you are someone that has been wanting to change your careers, I know there's several people out there because they've really spoken to me, and 2024 really you feel is your career, or you're not even sure when to start, I'd really encourage you to start as soon as possible. The reason for that is so many things are changing. I think you can see inflation is happening. Hopefully, we'll get out of it. But with everything going on, I don't know. We all, I think, don't know when this will happen. Okay. So, with that said, you want to be really in a career or a position where you at least are being able to make more income and also making bigger impacts, but mostly also getting other skills that will help us in our future, whether it's personal or career. So one of these, as we know, is project management. I wanted to talk about what some of the benefits of working in project management and also healthcare project management are. Generally, what happens in project management, I think if you've read my text messages or messages, hopefully you have, but if you haven't, that's okay. Project management is one of those professions that, because you're leading people, it actually gives you leadership skill sets. Okay. And with that said, those skill sets are going to take us further and further. It depends on where we want to go, as far as we want to go with those skill sets. And in project management, they say one of the most important, in fact, when you're doing your interview, tip, just so you know, um, they ask you is what is one of the most important skill sets if you're doing an interview for project management. I'll tell you communication is one of those. But communication really, as you know, is something that can take us far. One, written communication. Two, speaking. When I say speaking, not necessarily as a speaker, but how we talk to different people, knowing when to change our conversations or knowing how to change our conversation. Okay. Three, of course, could be public speaking and also other ways. But four is whereby we can speak to different audiences. We have gained that skill set. If we are speaking, because as a project manager, you're going to talk to high level managers many times, either senior managers, could be directors or VPs or CEOs, suite, could be CEO, CFO, whoever. Okay. But the fact of the matter is you learn to interact with those people. And before, when you were someone who is doing the work, there's nothing wrong with that, whatever role you were. We tend to be afraid. We tend to be scared. I know that I used to be back in my days. But first of all, for me, consulting, for example, helped me. But if you're not going to do consulting, project management helps you with that. And so the idea of when you are in the presence of these senior managers, it stops being really traumatizing or causing anxiety. You just know, you see them as, fellow coworkers. Of course, you have a little bit of anxiety. Hey, I'm going to speak to the CEO, this kind of level of person. And so I need to have my game, which as a project manager, you learn to do. But for the most part, what I like is that you brush shoulders with that kind of level, and that will really take you far, even outside of the job, whether later in life or however far you want to go. And also, therefore, because of that, there's a lot of career advancement in leadership positions. Um, as I've said, it helps us to get into leadership, gives us leadership skills. You're going to get career advancement. The other thing is strategic thinking. With project management, you are working with a lot of different scenarios. I like that at the same time because it brings creativity. You have to find solutions, or you have to find ways to do things. You are working with your team. You also, uh, giving them advice, and also listening to them. It's not all the time as project managers talking. We're also listening to our team members who are the subject matter experts in what we do. Now, it depends. If you are someone who has been, for example, in your area, if you've been in healthcare, in this example, because that's what I'm talking about, if you've been in healthcare and you know healthcare in and out, you can give the advice, nothing wrong with that. At the same time, still we need to listen. But if you are new, for example, project manager coming from another industry into healthcare or any other industry, let's say from even healthcare into construction. Another one right now actually is healthcare construction that is really booming. And so you find that I know the healthcare part, but I don't know the construction part that well, even though it's something that I would learn. You find that you have to listen to what the team is talking about. Okay. So my point is that even with that, it helps you to think strategically. You're thinking almost 10 steps ahead versus someone who is not. Many times as a project manager, you're going to think of the end and you are coming backwards again. If you see that goes into the schedule itself, right? So that really gives us those skill sets, which are very, very key to ensuring that the project is successful. But as a bonus, also, as you know, it helps us to learn to be organized. So what does that mean? You're going to be organized both in your career at your job, but also in your personal life. I know for me, for example, in the past, I've done a lot of events. Yes, I've done a lot of events where I bring people together. I'll call myself a gatherer, in fact. And so I've really learned a lot of this also from, there's a little bit of that. I was organized before I did project management, maybe too organized. But the point is that it helps us to learn to, be organized and work with different people. And you find that many times you find yourself like just jumping to an opportunity that you're going to bring organization. You're going to bring organization. If there was chaos, you bring organization into the fold, whether it's church, whether it's community meetings, PTA, or anything like that. Okay, you're going to find yourself doing that because you're good at it, especially if you see that, okay, this could be better, that kind of thing. We just have to be careful, not always to jump in people's business, okay? But that is a thing that happens, at least I know for me and many other project managers. All right. So then what are some of the benefits of working in the healthcare field as a healthcare project manager, or even as a healthcare, should you want to just jump into healthcare, okay? Because that is also an area that I will talk about in this in this workshop. The first thing is definitely job stability and growth. I'm not saying they'll never fire people. Usually that what happens is when there's been a merger and acquisition, that may happen, but because there may be some kind of overlap, okay, like in any M&As, which is mergers and acquisitions, or buyout. However, in most cases, healthcare tends to be very stable, and now they need more people than ever. So, it's an area that you want to be in. Next is meaningful, impact. The thing about healthcare is even though we may work on I won't say background, we call it the back end, that you're not directly giving care, which are providers, nurses, therapists, doctors, specialists, and surgical physicians and people like that. You find that you still are making an impact in people's lives, and also creating those better outcomes, because this is what the projects are trying to do: better outcomes, better impact, and those kinds of outcomes. Okay, so with that, you find that the third is that because of the nature of the work we're doing, we're bringing efficiency, we're bringing great and effective outcomes into healthcare and healthcare delivery in different sectors, of course. You find that the salaries are competitive. I don't talk a lot about six figures, but for sure, if you're either project manager, you get into program management, you still are going to be in six figures. So, $100,000+ a year. In some cases, 200,000, depending on where people are. You could get into the big tech companies, the FANG usually is Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. That's the name that's been given in the industry. However, there are others also. But what I want to emphasize is that, it's really your ticket to at least growing your career, and therefore, in the end, also growing your compensation and benefits. Why? Because the nature of the work we're doing, and also it's just one of those industries that at least pays relatively well. Of course, it depends on the regions we are, but for the most part, it pays well. And so you find that, when your career is going well, your personal life is going well. I'll tell you that. Okay. One of the things I want to emphasize is that many of us try to separate our career and personal life, and there's nothing wrong with that. We all try, right? But the truth of the matter is that if our career is not going well, and by that I mean that if we don't have a good income, maybe we don't have enough income, or we don't have, enough benefits for our families or anything like that, it's leaving us literally asleep, you know, sorry, awake instead of sleeping. In other words, we're not at peace because, we'd like to make more money. And so those are the things that I'm going to talk about. So I want to invite you to this workshop. The workshop is happening the 20th. I decided to make it on the weekend because of people working, and sometimes people are going to be tired. So I just wanted to take, at the end of the week, you take maybe the morning, you're rested at least, and then you come and participate in this workshop. Now, one of the things that someone may ask me, what does a workshop have? But the workshop is going to talk about, first of all, I'm going to talk about a bit of different things that will get me then into, the actual content, which is healthcare and project management part of it. Okay. The first one is going to be a bit that helps us with mindset. Now you may say, what do I care about mindset? I'm not going to be here like, a therapist or psychologist, no. But what I'm going to emphasize is that, especially as we're going into a different role, just generally, not just in this case, we have to really change our mindset and how we want things to happen. So I'll be guiding you in how you can do that. The next thing is I'm going to talk to you about what they call value laddering. Okay. How can we bring value into this world generally? So here I'm showing you how you can use project management, okay, with the skill set that I've emphasized. There'll be more, of course, but here I'm giving you a snippet. But with the skills, for example, I've talked about how we can grow into ourselves. It doesn't have to be necessarily into project management, but project management gives us those skills. We can grow vertical or we can grow horizontally. For example, what do I mean? Horizontally is where after you become a project management, you may want to become a program manager. Program manager usually managing several projects. You're managing a program, and you're probably managing managers, project managers in this case, other project managers or managers, whatever the case may be. And you probably have a PMO, which is a project management office at your organization, and you're managing, different areas of what the projects are. Okay. You could grow into that, become a director, you become, something above that, depending on what it is, a VP, depending again on the size. Sometimes if it's a smaller company, those may not exist, but you could go laterally, meaning that you could go wide, not necessarily increasing, your or going further up the ladder of, what the job titles are, or job roles, not necessarily title into the roles. Okay. Because some people may not want to have more responsibilities. It's not easy being also leaders, right? Beyond going up and up. Some people are not interested, and that's okay. So others are, and that's okay too. So either way, it's up to you. There are just so many possibilities. So I want to talk to you about that. You want to really listen to that. It's going to open your eyes. And this really goes into all of us need to be looking beyond what we're doing and looking ahead on where this world is going. Okay. So, and then from there, what I'll be talking about also is then I'll talk about the high, no, the high level of where you need to start. This will really give you what they call a launch. A launch pad is where if you didn't have like a blueprint to do something, this is what it's going to give you. I'll give you the templates also to help you do that. You can start off. And one of the things I want to emphasize to you is what you can do to start really getting your mindset and yourself into these roles. Okay. We'll talk about those things and share with you what you can do, and also give you resources for that, that can help. Next, then I'll talk about uh, the healthcare part. Now, if I get some people who want the project management launchpad and how to do that, absolutely, you're very welcome. Why? Because that is also something I'm going to talk about. This applies to other industries also. But for now, where we'll go deep will be healthcare. Okay. Other industry I'm very interested in are construction, HR, not necessarily in my warehouse, but this is very applicable. And also the other thing, in fact, if you're not in healthcare, I'll be sharing some tips of how you can get the information that you may need to start off. Certainly, if you can, learn, for example, if you're HR, you want to learn from someone there, that is something you can do. Now, if you are, for example, moving from banking, because I've had some questions about that, someone moving from banking, which is finance, and you want to get into healthcare, you're most probably going to be on the business side. That is an area I'm very, very familiar with. So those are the things that we can also, that would be actually discussed. And so those are the areas that, I want to talk about. So it will be healthcare. It will entail the different stages, and so the different areas within the provider healthcare. And I'll be showing you also for those that may not be necessarily directly provider, like hospitals, physicians, and things like that, but probably are in pharma, because I've had some attend my workshops before. Maybe you're in pharma, maybe you're in biotech or things like that. Biotech, of course, leads into pharma and things like that, okay? Those really tend to fall on the clinical side. Why? Because that is where patients are given medication, patients are given care from a provider. They may not give it to them directly, but they'll go to another provider who's called a pharmacist, okay, that will give them the medication that's needed. So my point is that this will be helpful for you too, no matter what, okay? Anyway, then of course we'll go into the project management piece of it, all right? I'll give you the highlights, how you go about that, but mostly also give you at least a checklist that you can use if you want to start. And then we'll go from there, and then we'll have a Q&A. So I hope this was helpful, and I would love to have you. If you have any questions, please let me know. I also would like to extend to you, if you would like a 30-minute free call. I'm not going to pressure you into anything. It's just a 30-minute free call. You ask me questions you have, and we can see if this is a right fit for you. You're very welcome. So just DM me. If you follow me on LinkedIn, please feel free to DM me. If you don't, I would love that you follow me, and then we can reach out easily. You can also reach out to me via Facebook. The only thing with Facebook, there's so many tools they've put right now, features. So I'm getting so many like chats and things like that. So I've turned off the notifications because they're too much. So in case I don't see your message is what I mean. I would like, I think LinkedIn is probably less crowded in that case. And I'll be leaving my LinkedIn, in all the descriptions and the mail that I'm going to share. So I would love to have you. Okay. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you. Take care. Bye-bye.